Everyone, can you hear me? I think I can hear myself. I've certainly heard all these wonderful people here, and in my head, I've kind of heard your voices. I chose to be out here with you today because we're at an impasse, aren't we? And in addition to understanding the issues of healthcare, we really need to figure out as a country how we work together. To me, it's actually the more important piece. We all know that if it's a family that works together, stays together, and they figure it out. I know it's not easy, and I heard this gentleman. I'm a patient. I heard you. And I get it that you believe someone else is not hearing you. That's our problem. This has to be fixed. It really does. I heard Sadia say, we need the best of ourselves. So I'm just going to suggest it does not get fixed if we don't have the best of ourselves out there. And we all know that it's difficult when you're in pain, you're frustrated, you're concerned, you get angry. And those of us in the field of human services knows that that's what happens when you are emotional. And when the emotions come up, it's very difficult to be sensible, to work with people. But at the end of the day, as I look across those of you here, black, white, old, young, workers from government, wherever you're from, we live here together. That is not going to change. We all know it. But the true measure of success for any country is how well we're taking care of our people. That's the true measure. And if you here, plus 10,000 signatures, feel that we're not taking care of our people, then we are not successful. We just are not. I know you all know that, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And of course you're all looking for answers. We're all looking for answers. God knows I'm looking for answers. But it's no fun to feel invisible. To feel that your voice and your thoughts don't matter. That they're not meaningful to somebody else. And of course we have to define what it means for your voice to be meaningful to somebody else. I have a great nephew who I have been encouraging to be a leader in his school. He's only 6. But you know you got to start early. And so he's been thinking about being a leader. He's 6, but he's been thinking about it. So I asked him the other day, were you a leader? And he said, yes. Well, how did you demonstrate that? He said, I didn't follow. But, see, you're all clapping, but I didn't clap when he said that. And the reason I didn't clap is because I asked him, tell me how you didn't follow. What did you do? Were you kind? Were you helpful? Did you listen to your teacher? Did you not fight? What did you do? And he just scratched his head and he said, I was kind. And that's where you look for the definition of what you're supposed to be doing. As I'm driving him, he's in the back seat and he puts his head out the window, and I said, followers do that, not leaders. And he sat back down. So we have to define what we mean. We really do. I'm sorry, it's just baffling sometimes. And most of you know I came here in 1986 from the US. I've been here over 30 years, and I'm still baffled with what happened the other day with Trump. But it is a lesson for us, and I've been following it. I'm not following the nonsense. I'm just trying to follow the understanding of why in the world, with all the evidence, would we get the result that we got. And sometime this morning, somebody said that most of the GOP senators were simply afraid. They had been bullied. Somebody said bully back here. And so at the end of the day, are we going to continue to be or feel bullied? Bullies are not good. We all know that. And I will also say to you that if you're feeling fear, you need to understand why and what you intend to do about it. I'm not feeling fear. A bully has power when you give it to him. Truth. As I watched Trump get in his car and drive to the White House or wherever the Senate, wherever he was going, he kept putting his thumb up to people. And they put their thumb up to him. So he was engaging them and they were engaging right back. But what we simply forget, and what I learned this morning, is that if half of those senators understood that most of the people in the room were also afraid, and they utilized the group to put their thumbs down, there would have been a different vote. And that is what I believe this group is asking us to do. They're not asking us to bash anyone, to bully anyone. And remember, you don't want to be demonstrating behavior that you don't appreciate. You have to be models of what's important. So yes, you raise your voice, but you can't do it out of anger. As Mandela said, when you humiliate someone through anger, they are the most dangerous person in the world. So we have to figure out how to raise our voices unafraid and fearless. Fearless. And not because we think we're in some power or authority position, but because it is the right thing to do. And it needs to be respected. I'm sorry, I'm still baffled. Gotta get it out for a moment. It just doesn't make sense. I actually believe that a lot of those senators were also quite mesmerized. And so, as Sir John Swan said, we need to wake up. Stay out of the mesmerism, stay alert. The world today needs thinkers. When you speak up, you must have an informed voice. And I'm going to be the first to say, because I feel fearless today, there are too many of us that get on the radio out of our emotions and say many things, but we haven't done our homework. And I think it's important to have the voice, but be an intelligent and informed voice, because you have the audience of many people listening, including our young people. So if you choose, and if the radio and television companies give you the opportunity to go on the radio or to call in, be informed. This is just my little 2 cents of that. And it's so important. It's just so important. Knowledge is power. I think the last thing I want to say about all of that is we live on a small island and we have dual relationships everywhere. I know how difficult it is to have a conversation with your sister who may be going in the wrong direction, but you don't want to anger her or upset the family. So, you know, it's one thing to say we're going to raise our voices, but it's another thing to figure out in Bermuda, where you know people, you're related to people, and you find it difficult to have the hard conversations. I'm good friends with Kim Wilson. Many in the government, I know them. And that friendship is not affected by this because at the end of the day, this is business. Important business for people, for the vulnerable. And so in Bermuda, we also have to figure out a way that we will do the right thing, say the right thing, act the way we're supposed to, even though it's your daughter, your uncle, your brother, because at the end of the day, you want to do the right thing to earn the respect. And it's where I'm pushing government at this point in time when it comes to what's happening with children. I have to be fearless on behalf of those innocent children who can't speak for themselves, and those innocent children who are adults today walking around with no vision, no purpose, no sense of identity, and people pointing fingers at them, and I'm going to say it, for driving your motorcycle through the mall to do a grab and go. I'm not excusing that behavior, but I'll be the first one to remind you that we're all contributing to it when we do not take care of our children that are now young adults. And I wish I can grab up in my arms every single one of those young adults who have experienced from trauma to wrongdoing. It needs to be fixed. So for all of you, I'm going to leave everything to the experts who know about the difference between universal and unified. I hope you were listening. I took some notes so that I can understand, because I will only speak about that when I've done my homework. I'm still reeling from dealing with government about children, but I will stay on that mark because I have to. But we all need to find a way to raise our voices, be good in our own space. Right, my friend? That's right. Do what you can do. All your legislators. Be the example of what you want to see. And maybe this will change. Eugene, I want to thank you for giving us an example. And I'm hoping Patient First will give us more examples of how we achieve this result. I am in agreement. Universal care versus unified. It has to be universal as the priority, and we must find a way to bring down the cost on this island, to be more preventive, and to make sure those who are the most vulnerable are taken care of. So everybody has a role to play. I want to thank you for allowing me to say a few words. Hope I haven't gone over my time, but at the end of the day, we have to do what is important in our space. Be true to yourself. Thank you.
Yes, give thanks. Very much appreciate